Joe, myth number 2. Do you need to clear your mind completely to meditate?
No, because if you say that you'll have to clear your mind completely to meditate, no one on the planet will ever start meditating. And that is a myth, 100%. I'll be honest, I meditate even having, meditated as much as I've meditated and as frequently as I do and as much as I do it. There's still thoughts that come into my mind during my meditation. Is it what it was in the beginning? No. Will I say it's, if in the beginning 99% of the thoughts, even while I was trying to meditate, were what I didn't want when I was trying to focus on peacefulness? Now I'd say it's, maybe 10% of the time. So it's complete, but that's evolved, so like it started where all of these were the thoughts that I didn't want. Now these are the thoughts that I didn't want. And so it built and developed over time, and in realizing it as in a reflection to say, all right, well, like that doesn't happen anymore. And even when it does happen, it does still kind of does get to me a little bit, but I have to be able to say, all right, this is not what, so like just recenter and refocus, and then ultimately realizing it'll get there.
You often talk about awareness. You even said it at the very beginning, like just slow down and become aware of the trees, the sky, the air, notice your breathing.
What are simple things to think about that don't require complex thought, right? Is like, and even focusing, like sometimes I'll meditate with my eyes open and my wife looks at me like I'm crazy because like it looks super weird with like you're just staring at something, right? I'll just look at a tree, I'll look at a tree, I'll focus on a leaf on a tree, and then I'll shut my eyes and then I'll open when I feel like I'm getting like distracted with something. I'll open my eyes and focus on that, and then that'll allow me to kind of bring that back in and allow me to have a maintaining of focus. Because one of the things that I'll say, it's hard to silence your, because what do they say when just focus on nothing? You can't focus on nothing. How do you focus on nothing? Even in the beginning, I was like, what is nothing? Like, is it darkness? So I did that for a while, and that was challenging. And so I ultimately got to the point of, if I were starting new today, what I would say is focus on like light. Think about your heart, focus on your heart, and think about your heart is like a miniature sun. Like there's a miniature sun of energy in your heart that's powering your life, like a little ball of light. That's it. Just a little ball of light. And if you can focus on that, and everybody's seen the sun. We see the sun, those of us that are, thankful enough to have vision, like see the sun, like, and allow that to be something simple that we can focus on that's within our heart, powering our life. That's what I would suggest.
Now, Joe, a lot of people are going to come and say, I don't have an hour a day. I don't have 45 minutes in a day to meditate. I'm never going to get results out of this. Is it true that you need to spend a ton of time meditating each day to see the results from it?
Absolutely not. There are times when I started, I did 20 minutes a day because I felt that was good for me. Some people start 5 minutes a day. Some people start, then they ultimately do 10 minutes. And sometimes you do 20, and then sometimes you only do 5. But the consistency is what's important. And the reality is you're only going to come to a level of defining what that correct time is for you at that correct moment as these beautiful doves are fluttering in front of me. For you, what you experience and what you believe is what you should do. But the reality is you're never going to make progress if you don't start, and you're never going to feel the feeling. That's it. You got to feel the feeling is the most important part of meditation, because we're just, to this point, we've only talked about thoughts. We haven't talked about feeling. And I think that's one of the things that's not talked enough about within meditation is focusing on the feeling, focusing on what it feels like and trying to understand what that feels like. And you're really just trying to feel the energy of your life. That's what you're trying to feel. And like, what does that mean? What's a good place to start? Gratitude. Trying to make you feel so great, like the feeling of so grateful, and to recall that feeling and have that be a foundation for how to potentially feel when you're meditating.
I think consistency is key to this. This is something that I tell clients in podcasting all the time. No one listens to a podcast that ran every single day, an hour a day for a month, and then burnt out. They listen to the ones that have gone for 4 or 5 years, once a week or once a month or something like that they build into their routine that's sustainable for them. So figure out what that is for you. Is it 5 minutes in the morning just after getting up? Is it 10 minutes in the afternoon, after you put the baby to bed or something like that? Like, find your moment, and then just, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, make that for you. Make it 5 minutes of awareness that you wouldn't normally have, because then at the end of the year, you did that 5 minutes a day, 365 days. That really adds up.
And I'll say, just an observation for those that are listening with our consistency of what we're talking about, limitations today. If you've done that, and that's what you're able to do, then that's amazing. But at the same time, if you did 5 minutes a day for a week and you're like, oh, let me, I feel something, let me try and do this a little bit more, you can do that. So like, whatever you say it'll be is what it'll be. So that's the limitation you've set on it. And not to say that that's a bad thing. That's not a bad. It's whatever you make it to be. And so if you decide that you felt something and you say, oh, I want to try more. The one thing I will say here's when you talk about limitations of meditation, what I was always thinking is, what is the possibility that exists here? I'm not going to put any limit on this.